Hey guys, this is Moses again back. So I've got a video on mistakes and errors. What is the difference between a mistake and an error? When you say no, it was an error or it is a mistake. To err is human. Mistakes are normal. What is the meaning of the word mistake and what is the meaning of the word error? Mistake comes from the blending of two words, a prefix and a word which we call an affix. Miss and take, to take something wrongly, to mistake. And error comes from French, erreur, which means something you do badly. Now, what is the difference between a mistake and an error in English when you speak? Do you commit mistakes or you make errors? That is the question. Do you have mistakes in your English or there are errors that you make? And most of the time people make mistakes and some make errors, but they don't know the difference between a mistake and error. I will give you the difference today. A mistake is something you say wrongly, but you can also, know the right thing to say and you can correct yourself. For instance, I say, good morning, my name is Moses and I have 24 years old. I have 24 years. Then after speaking, they say, no, sorry, I am 24 years old. Do you see the difference? After I made my mistake, automatically I corrected it. Or automatically in my head, I knew I made a mistake. We call it a mistake. Something that you make wrongly, but you can correct by yourself and you know the mistake exactly. When you say this, no, I should not say this, I should say this. This is a mistake. Now, on contrary, what is an error? An error is a mistake that you cannot correct. For instance, somebody says, I have 20 years, and he stops by there. I have 20 years, and he stops by there. Then they ask him, can we say I have 20 years? Then the person says, yes, j'ai 24 ans. I have 20 years. The person does not know the right thing to say. It is an error. An error is unconscious. You make a mistake and you don't know it is a mistake. We call it an error. But a mistake is something you make and you correct it. Maybe by talking you can say something and you make a mistake. And you correct it by the end. But there are some people, they make mistakes, they don't even recognize they made some mistakes. And they don't correct unless you correct them. That is a mistake. And an error, I mean. And errors repeatedly made can turn into fossilization in linguistics. What is fossilization? Fossilization is a mistake that you make often. You make it again and again. People correct you, maybe you can't correct it, or maybe you refuse to correct it, or maybe you persist making the same mistake. And it fossilizes. It means it's sorry. It means it stays in you and you will never correct it again. There are some people when they speak, they are bosses in companies, big companies, but when they speak, they make a lot of mistakes. Simply because the mistakes they were making became errors, and which errors were fossilized, and they are no more correcting. Impossible to correct them later. Almost impossible unless you make conscious efforts, great efforts, then you can correct fossilized mistakes. So, to conclude, I talked about mistake, error, and fossilization. A mistake is something you say badly or in a wrong way, but you recognize to have said a wrong way. An error is something you say badly or in a mistake or in a bad way, but you don't recognize it is a mistake. And finally, fossilization, it is the mistake that you do repeatedly, an error that you do repeatedly, and you can't correct it, and with time it fossilizes, it grounds, it gets roots in yourself, and you make it until you die, unless you do many efforts to correct it. So, thank you so much. This was Moses from the Moses Services. The 5 minutes are over, and see you next time. Thanks.